What's up, wrestling fans? It's Scott here, and on the phone I got my boy Kobe. What's up, Kobe?
What's going on, guys? How are you today? What's up, bro?
Man, it's been a week, right? What a great week! I think we say that every week thus far, but again, man, what another great week in wrestling.
Yeah, what a great week. The wrestling was off the hook as normal, and we'll get into it.
And setting it up for next week, man, or this up and coming week. It's going to be in another amazing show. So, with that being said, brother, are you ready?
I'm
I'm
ready.
ready. Let's talk wrestling.
Let's talk wrestling.
All right, man. So let's start with the new program, AEW Elevation. I think that the Big Show did a pretty good job with Tony Schiavone. Like we just talked about it before we went on, that Tony's going to bring the Big Show to where he needs to be in the commentary booth. But he did a pretty decent job for the start. This for the first time I've heard him on commentary, so it sounded pretty good. The show was a great show. Instead of going through every single match this time, we're gonna just hit some of the highlights, some of the matches that we really liked. Some feature people to watch like we've been doing in the past. First one, man, right out the gate, Jungle Boy took on Danny Limelight, and man, Danny Limelight looked good, dude. There's no question about it. That dude is another up and coming star. Hopefully,
Yeah,
he doesn't become one of the numbers that become part of the Nightmare Factory or the Nightmare Family, and just join that giant faction. But he looks good, man. He hit a springboard destroyer partway through the match. Jungle Boy, of course, gets the win, but Limelight, man, again, sell out every week for a destroyer. Hopefully, it doesn't become a every single show. But destroyers, man, they're awesome. I love watching them.
yeah. They need to hold off on every once in a while make a move more. Like wow, okay, I haven't seen that in a while. It's good to see that. So it'd be nice if they try to use some moves sparingly.
Yeah, I mean, I know, I understand, man. They're trying to put some of these guys, new guys like the Limelights and the Baron Black, and those guys, Scotland. We're trying to put them on the stage, but it's one of those ones where you hit it during your B shows, your sub shows. You're expecting it on Dynamite. Then I expect to see an incredible destroyer on Dynamite. So hopefully we don't. I love to see it, but I don't want to see it. Every single show 3 times a
Yep,
week.
yep, all the time. Yeah, don't do it all the time.
Right.
Well, once again, less is more.
Right. So a little drama starting on evolution elevation. It's going to start a little bit drama and it's going to play across the board to all the different programs. I love how they tie AEW Dark, Elevation, Dynamite. I love how they're tying it together. Miro and Kip, man, watch for the breakup here. It's coming soon. At the end of that match, Miro wouldn't let Penelope Ford into the ring to celebrate with him. It's coming, man. The separation, the split between Miro and Kip, it's coming, dude. It's on its way.
Yeah, that should be good. That should continue that storyline and make it last and give a storyline for a little while.
And speaking of storylines, the one that's just continuing on, which is, it's a good storyline. It's a pretty awesome run with it. QT Marshall, he's coming out to take on Marco Stunt. Nick Camarado leads him to the ring. High fives him at the ramp, heads back. So it's QT against Marco 1-on-1, and it was QT Marshall against Marco Stunt. It wasn't a whole lot of offense coming out of Marco. A lot of great taking bumps out of it. But it was all QT Marshall. A great showing. Not 100% sure that that's where Elevation and Dark want to go as somebody that's seasoned like QT. But I'm cool with the storyline part of it. So it's carrying on. So QT Marshall, we don't know exactly where his head is, where he's going to go. And then lead in another faction, man. Tony Khan. Rumor is he loves factions, which makes me love Tony Khan all that much more. After the match, Cesar Bononi, Peter Avalon, and Nick Nemeth, they attack Marco. And it takes the Jurassic Express to come out and run him off. So you got another three-person group, which could set up awesome against Jurassic Express.
Yeah, not too much on that. Once again, another storyline. I hope they continue with. Barring any injuries. Like potentially could happen, but we'll see how that plays out.
Yeah, outside of that, man, there was some. I mean, there was some good moments. There was a lot of good wrestling. Man, I have to take my hats off to, the match that we called. It was going to be the premier match that could have been the main event easily. Was Platinum Max Caster from the Acclaimed taking on Dante Martin from Top Flight. A clinic, man. Those two. are part of two phenomenal tag teams. Unfortunately, Caster's partner's injured right now, but he's picking it up in singles competition, dude. That guy looks amazing, man. Like that dude is carrying it. Um, I can't say enough good things about Caster right now.
Yeah, Caster, you know, he's either TNT belts in his future, or also potentially, you know, an AEW heavyweight in the future. But yeah, the more his partner stays out, the more that Caster seems to shine on a solo career for whatever reason. So they might just eventually make him go the solo route. Who knows? Hopefully they don't do it, because that's a WWE move normally. But you know, you never know. We'll see.
Break up the teams. But yeah, he's definitely keeping the Acclaim relevant while his partner's out, man, because he looks good, man. He's making a name for himself, and that's awesome. During Elevation, another one of the big things, an interview with the Seidel brothers gets interrupted by the Invisible Hand, Don Callis, and Kenny Omega, and basically they throw it out there that if Matt Seidel beats Nakamura later in the night, Nakazawa later in the night, that he gets a non-title match with Kenny Omega. And of course, Matt pulls the victory off. So now we're looking down the road here, maybe this week actually. But Kenny Omega against Matt Seidel in a non-title match. But that should be a great match. Those two styles matching up, I mean, almost perfectly.
Yeah, I love watching Seidel wrestle. He always puts on a clinic, no matter what he does. So he's just a natural great wrestler, and he always has been. It's good that he's shining now, and you know, so on and so forth in the ring.
Right. So let's get to the main course, man. Don't get me wrong that Elevation and Dark, they're good programs. There's good wrestling on it, but man, St. Patrick's Day Slam was so good. Hopefully, you guys didn't get tempted and go out there and hit the spoilers before you watched it, because man, it was amazing. That starts off with a jet outside, very Four Horsemen esque. Jet plane arrives, and walking out on the flight line is Pinnacle. Pinnacle is here. It finally, what we've been wanting, what we've been waiting for. They're here, man. The Four Horsemen, the new type of Four Horsemen group with MJF and Wardlow and FTR, Tully Blanchard, Sean Spears. It's here, man.
Yeah, I'm curious to how our viewers think and what they might think about the name Pinnacle. I mean, I like it. You know, it's the apex. You know, I mean, you got to think of a name to come up with, and a lot of the other names have been taken over the years. So, Pinnacle's a good name. I never heard it ever used other than in card companies. You know, a card brand or whatever. I like the name. I mean, like I said, I don't know how else you'd use it, and it creates the faction with like the Four Horsemen type style. So
Right.
good to go with the Pinnacle name.
Yeah. And when you look at the first shirt that they have out on the shop AEW.com, go out and look at that first shirt. It's got the mountain on it. Very, very tributey, I think, to Space Mountain. Very similar to an old school T-shirt from Space Mountain. One of the things that Ric Flair used to always talk about, going to Space Mountain. So I think it's very similar to that. But anyway, so we get into that first match. Penta took on Cody. Cody wins it, not clean though. It was a roll up. There was no finisher. Well, he actually did hit Crossroads, and Penta kicked out. It was a great match, man. It was a lot of near falls, false finishes. Great match. A roll up. Cody gets the victory. Of course, Penta is not going to stand for that, so Penta attacks after the match, and he's working on Cody's already messed up shoulder. It takes a little longer than expected, knowing that the Gun Club is at ringside. But eventually, the Gun Club jump in from ringside. They jump in. Dustin comes in to make the save. And then, on cue, 5 minutes too late, QT Marshall strolls from the back. And of course, Dustin is hot, wanting to know where in the world QT Marshall was at. Again, playing on a great storyline coming up. Clearly, QT is about to depart. I'm wondering, is he going to take someone like Nick? Is he going to take part of that Nightmare Collective? Is he going to take some of them with him when he splits? But it's a good storyline. The match was phenomenal, though, as expected, between two of the greatest in professional wrestling. Just awesome. Great way to start every week they start. That curtain jerk match is amazing every week.
The only thing I didn't like about that match, and I guess I'm not even going to really mention it, but I need some of these guys to start selling a little better. When they're getting certain parts worked on that are hurt or injured. I need them to sell. I know it's nice to basically hulk up like Hulk Hogan, but I'd rather see them sell when they're injured or a body part's injured. Most of them do very well, but every once in a while I think they forget the part that somebody worked on. But anyway,
Right.
great match.
Right. So that leads us backstage to an interview with the Young Bucks, and of course, who always interrupts everything, every freaking show? Callis. Callis comes out. He interrupts them. He's trying. He plays the "I'm concerned for your dad." He had a T-shirt for him. The T-shirt had the no knee slap. Obviously mocking WWE, which they did on BTE on Being the Elite on Monday. They also were handing out fines. I think Matt Jackson caught a fine for knee slapping. Hysterical, man. They are always going to play off of. They are not afraid to get their feet wet or get their feet dirty and go in there and throw some smoke at the WWE. But Callis, of course, he has a T-shirt. He's trying to give it to him. The Bucks throw that. It's hilarious. But he calls him out, man. He puts him in check and lets him know that when he looks at him now, he doesn't see the same Young Bucks that used to run wild in New Japan, the same Young Bucks that started the Bullet Club. Not started. That's a long story where it actually started. But the Young Bucks that put the Bullet Club and made it mainstream, made it wildly
Yeah,
popular.
with when the Bullet Club was at its highest
Yeah.
point. Yeah,
So he put him in check, man. He called him out.
yeah, they aren't the same. They aren't the same as they were in New Japan, but they still kick it up a notch. But yeah, they're not the same. And there's even they're even better in New Japan. So it'll be nice to see if that is actually something to kick them in, to say, hey, maybe we ought to look, and we're the best, but still
Right.
we need to keep it going.
So a lot of angles they can go with that storyline. Are the Young Bucks going to grab that apple from Don Callis's hand and bite into it and turn basically heel and run with the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega, or are they going to stand tall and set up for probably a pretty incredible tag team match at the end of the day with the Good Brothers? So we'll see. I personally I'd like to see Adam Page slide into there to round out the Young Bucks trio and take on those guys head on. But we'll see, man. Again, one of the many storylines that's out there right now. Um, Jade Cargill took on Danny Jordin. It it wasn't much. It was a QT Marshall against Marco Stunt kind of match. Jade is just a freaking specimen, dude. She's amazing. Strength. She put on a little show of this, show of strength in the match. Pretty much a squash match. Then she gets outside the ring, and her and Red Velvet get into it. They have to be separated. So again, man, second match of the night. We got the second story that's continuing on. Jade and Red Velvet. That's going to continue. A great storyline and just you know awesome specimen is Jade, man.
Yeah, I have nothing but to applaud that storyline with where they're going with Jade and Red Velvet. I mean, like you said, it was a squash match basically, and you know, the opponent did well. I mean, it was what it was. So, it was more to set up the storyline more and more between Red Velvet and Jade.
Yeah, oh yeah. Then they do an interview with Pinnacle. Pinnacle arrives. They talk about. I mean, they want everything, man. The Pinnacle. They want all the belts. They very four horsemen heel. Ric Flair speaking out of MJF's mouth. They're going to take everything from Jericho to include his locker room, which by the end of the night they had moved into. Um, it's again that the storyline with this is going to be awesome to see where it goes, to see where they go. The only thing that's bad is the championships are really spoken for right now. The next man up is kind of spoken for, so it's going to be a tough push ahead. But I think Pinnacle is going to leave a path of destruction all the way to championships. I think MJF is the bad guy of bad guys, and he is the future of professional wrestling.
Yeah,
I think he just turned 24 or something. He's a
yeah,
baby.
he's only like 24. It's nice. I think they're gonna push this to where they get the championships. Like it's gonna be, we could be looking at 2 or 3 years, 4 years down the make until they finally actually get them, which is cool. I like the fact that they're drawing out the storylines, and not rushing it and pushing it unless there's an injury, then
Yeah.
they'll have a choice but to do something a little different probably. But yeah, so far they're right on path with the storylines.
And they say that's one of the things that Omega is known for is the long story. No short, choppy, they do a lot in WWE, man. And, 1 week they start this thing and you're hyped. You're like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then the next week it's over. And the climax really is, you get a quick one and it's cool. But, yeah, it's like you said, I think it's going to play out for a while. So then we go into Hardy Inc., man. So Matt Hardy brings in the Butcher, the Blade, the Bunny, and along with Private Party, and himself, they team up to go against the Jurassic Express and Bear Country. Good match. A lot of talent in that match. I think some of the keynotes coming out of it. Private Party has officially sold their souls to Matt Hardy. They hit their finisher. Match on the outside, screaming. Money Matt wants to make the pin. They smile. They're happy about it. They reach over, make the tag, let Matt come in, and take the glory of the pinfall victory. That's the one point coming out of it. The other one is, man, Bear Country grabbed Marco's stunt and threw him out of the ring onto the Hardy Incorporated, or Matt Hardy's group, and that made Jurassic Express mad because they used Marco as a weapon, even though that was a pretty awesome spot. But it was great that they Jurassic Express and Bear Country after that they never gelled. In the match they were making tags to themselves, forcing tags to the other person, like blind tags. Bear Country would blind tag, get themselves into the match, and then exclude Jurassic. So again, you've got not only the Nick Nemeth group, Peter Avalon and Cesar. You got that little group going against Jurassic Express, but you watch, man, Bear Country and Jurassic's going to have a pretty awesome little rivalry coming up.
Yep, yep. It was plain and noticeable, and it was an awesome spot. That was one of my favorite parts of that match, where Stone was
Right.
thrown at the others. So it was good to go. I really enjoyed that
Right.
part of the match.
If who wouldn't throw stunt, man? I'd throw Marco Stunt out the ring, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I could do it too if I could. Yeah, it'd be funny.
So then they go to interview with Christian Cage. Christian lets the world know that he is the workhorse. He's not a workhorse. He is the workhorse. And basically, he wants the title. There's no playing around. He wants Kenny Omega, and he wants that AEW World Heavyweight Championship. So again, I thought for sure it was going to be Adam Page coming up, but we'll have to see, man, if Christian's going to slide in there and be the next man up. But it was, another good interview leading into a phenomenal match with Mox and Eddie Kingston against the Good Brothers. The one thing I want to point out about that, so this was pre-taped, but so was the Impact's pay-per-view, and the Good Brothers actually lost their championships in that pay-per-view. They lost that Impact Tag Team Championship to, was it Finn and Juice from New Japan? But in that match, normally they're always like, "Oh, these are the Impact champions." The Impact. They didn't make one reference to the Impact titles being lost. I'm not sure if it's because of both of them being taped and an uncertainty on when they were going to air. I'm not sure, but again, being a true wrestling fan, I caught that and was kind of like, man, what? How are you not going to bring that up? That's a chance to spotlight that the door is open, right? That forbidden door. You're re-emphasizing the fact that your leader, Tony Khan, has opened that door, and now a New Japan team won the Impact Tag Team Champions, something that would have never happened until Tony Khan did that. I
Yeah,
thought they
Tony.
missed out on that. I thought they had an opportunity to really pay homage to Tony Khan and what he's done for the business. I think they missed out, but it could have been just because it was all taped and they didn't want to step on themselves.
Yeah, that's probably the reason I'm thinking because of the tape issue. But otherwise, they would have mentioned something about that. And you know, Tony Khan's done a lot, and also he's helping bring back the NWA. So
Yeah,
it's obvious. It's cool at territory days, and that's when Tony Khan grew up, and he realizes that it was good for wrestling back then too.
right. So in that match, it's not a wrestling hold kind of match by any stretch. It's a fight, but in the end, it's a roll up victory for Mox and Kingston. The Good Brothers attack, of course, because that's what they do. Callis comes out, Omega comes out. They take out an already suspect knee of Eddie Kingston with a chair. They put they wrap their leg through the chair, jump off the top rope, or it was the top or the middle rope, land on the chair, jack up his knee. Now they're doing the same thing to Mox's neck. They're climbing up to try to do it. Out comes the Bucks to try to stop him. One of the key takeaways out of that too is Even after they stopped the Good Brothers from it, Omega was still fighting to try to climb the ropes and was still fighting to try to jump off and end Mox. Omega has definitely drank the Kool-Aid. Omega is full-blown 100%, no turning back anytime soon heel. But after the match, or after the melee that ensued, the Bucks actually refused to Too Sweet. And Omega was demanding it, man. Omega was telling him, get back here and do this. Get your hands up. And the Bucks refused. So, we'll see how that goes. Again, Callis had talked to him earlier in the night, kind of calling him out, trying to get him to resort to that, to that dirty tactics like, that made him famous back in the day. But they refused, man. So as it stands right now, there's some dissension in the Bullet Club elite of the AEW.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy how the elite of the Bullet Club are coming to blows now. So it creates the issue with the long haul and making more storylines. It's crazy how every storyline going on, and sometimes a little hard to keep up, but it's still cool that
Right?
they are drawing it out and
Absolutely. And
great
we'll
to see the storylines.
and we'll hit it in our next segment that we do here. Short. We'll load it up right after this one. We'll load up something. We'll do maybe we'll call it the "This is what we think," and we'll kind of throw what we think is going to happen out of it. So then they go into an interview with Sting and Darby Allin. The interview was interrupted once again by Lance Archer and Jake the Snake. Lance is clearly coming after Darby's title. He's clearly staking claim that that's where he wants to go. So Lance finally gets away, and Darby and Sting might could finally get their first chance at an interview, and it's not going to happen because now out comes Team Taz. But man, in one of the craziest swerves that I've seen here in recent weeks, months, Brian Cage grabs the mic from Taz and says, "I'm not going to let you speak for me this time. I'm going to speak for myself because I've got something to say to you, Sting. I respect you. And Ricky Starks is wrong. With or without that bat, you are still an icon." And Team Taz is furious, man. They're grabbing the mic from Cage, asking like, "What are you doing, man? What are you thinking? What are you talking about?" So, again, we'll kind of save it. We'll lead this into what we think's coming on our next segment. But a great play. Where are they going to go with it? Is Cage going to start to swerve around to the good side? I think Cage and Hobbs would make a great matchup. But we'll see. But that was an awesome little turn of events that came about there.
Yeah, yeah. I could see Brian Cage going the other way. Instead of being the heel. I kind of like Brian Cage as a baby face anyway instead of a heel. I mean, he's okay as a heel, but I'd rather see him in the baby face
Right.
option anyway.
So we'll again in our next one. This is what we think is going to happen. Kind of segment. We'll talk about that where we think it's going to go. So then you go to Ray Phoenix with Pac. A great match, just like you would expect it to be against Angelico. I I've heard rumors backstage rumors that his partner was Jack Osborne or is in trouble. I've got some heat because of the way he jumped and landed and hit his opponent in the face, and it was 10 actually. He was wrestling 10. He landed and hit him stiff with a forearm in the face and busted him open. So I've heard there's a little bit of heat. I'm not sure if that's why it's a one-on-one match. I'm not for sure, but it was a great match. Super wildly talented guys, and then that led to the unsanctioned, the lights out, the match that I think is going to change way more than the WWE Women's Revolution or Evolution, whatever they call that. This match right here. If you listen to our show and don't watch AEW, go back and watch this match. This is one of the greatest matches that I've ever seen. Just insane. Whether they were women or men wrestling in that match, the tables or I'm sorry, the ladders, the chairs, the thumbtacks, dude. Are you kidding me, man? There was busted open the hard way. It was incredible. Thunder finally
Yeah,
gets finally gets the victory that she's been waiting for. But man, hats off to we've been on different sides of this. You got that Penn State alumni connection with Britt Baker. I'm way more partial to Thunder Rosa, but man, again, hats off to Britt Baker going through those thumbtacks. Not dude, that couldn't do it, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. Makes me squeamish
yeah,
just thinking about it. But that was one of the best matches. It should win hands down match of the year, unless they play the it's unsanctioned kind of thing. But I'm pretty sure, man. It's wrestling Pro Wrestling Illustrated. This is your match of the year right here. Not even. It was amazing.
yeah. There shouldn't be any questions that that this is the match of the year. I mean, we got a long way to go yet, but if they have something that tops that, I don't know what to say. It was definitely EC Dub esque. So
Oh yeah, like I said, and what it did for women's, the women's revolution in wrestling, just like what the four horsewomen women of professional wrestling. I mean, these two are two of the top female wrestlers, not just in AEW, but in the sport. Two of the top female wrestlers in the sport. Granted, they don't have a championship. They don't need a championship, man. They're that good, that talented of wrestlers. And man, that match was the storytelling throughout that match was unbelievable. The philosophy, the storytelling through it, the ending, the extreme measures that they went to really put themselves out. That was a main event on an ECW pay per view. It was that good, man.
yep, easily.
Right. So what we're gonna do, man? We're gonna close out here because we're at about 25 minutes. I hate to drag it on and keep you guys, locked in for that long. But what we're gonna do, man, is hit your like and your share and subscribe, and then jump over there and catch our next video. We're about to post one right after this one, to get a little bit of what we think is gonna happen. So again, thanks for tuning in, and catch that next video, man.